Hi Bhaskar, welcome. It's amazing to kind of watch a film which has four folk tales from Assam, something that you usually don't see, and I think the treatment is also very different from what you usually see with these kind of films. The film has already been to Busan, and it's been to London, and it's been to Bombay, and it's now in Dharamshala. So four very different kind of geographies and audiences. Could you talk a bit, could we start with, the reactions that the film has had in, these different kind of geographies?
Yeah, so Busan, I sort of missed my world premiere because I was a little late with my visa formalities. But I attended one screening, and it was very well attended. And people had very intelligent questions about the film, especially about Assam, which is what one of my primary goals was to push Assam as a place. Because Assam has been very underexposed
Right.
in the media, and it's good for people to see this land, and they can't believe it's India, and so most of the comments were appreciative in both places, even in London, largely appreciative, except for there is this tendency to always think that regional cinema people should have a message in their films. This is not a message film, and people ask me what is the message of this film. Are you trying to say women are evil? Nothing like that. This is just stories, and they should not be taken too literally. This is just cinema.
So, but have people, Assamese, some of the Assamese people seen the film already, and what was their
We
reaction?
had Assamese audiences in, except for Korea, we had Assamese audiences in London and in Bombay and in Dharamshala. So they all like it, they all love it. They didn't expect somebody from Assam to show them these stories. Most of them know these stories, because it has been done as theatre and as performance art for a long time.
Right.
They like it, and they think that that they never realized that these stories could also have such a dark element to them. And again, they have been very appreciative.
But you've adapted the stories, you've changed the endings to make it slightly more darker, or were they always this
No,
dark?
I used the source material, I call it, because these are folk tales.
Right.
This is not somebody's novel or original work. These are stories passed on from
Right.
person to person. So I consider it my cultural heritage.
Right.
So I mind it.
And there are multiple versions of folk tales. Like usually there are.
The Rajimala story is popular in Bengal, in Bihar, UP, maybe even in Orissa, maybe down south. I don't know, but it's possible that folk tales travel. So I just picked up some elements from these four stories to create a narrative about four people who are struggling with issues in life and how they're dealing with it, without deviating too much from the dramatic core of each story. The Rajimala story it's a long story. It is about the murder of this girl, and that's the thing that that's the main event. Same for the Champavati story, the girl getting eaten by the python. So I've used those, and I've stitched them together into a narrative about these four things happening. Yeah, so that was it.
And any particular reason why these four stories on motherhood, on mothers, like trying to subvert the usual cliched depiction of mothers?
Yeah. Because this entire compendium of folk tales, Grandma's Tales, has 21 stories. So I obviously once I decided to do an adaptation of these, I looked at which would be ideal. And most of the stories were not cinematic. You can do them as cinema. These four stories you could. There is four. There's stories about a fish who is a friend of a cow, and they go together and they meet a big monster. Lovely story. But
Almost like a Panchatantra kind of.
Yeah, with cinema, I don't know if it's possible to pull it off, considering the kind of budgets we have. So so I picked up stuff which I thought would be cinematic and would make for one coherent narrative, meta narrative sort of.
So I was in the audience when the question answers was happening, and there were ladies in front of me, and they were kind of talking about how it's always the woman who is kind of the evil, and why the depiction was almost always like that. So was that also a concern? Did you kind of realize that there might be women or feminist versions kind of taking offense to it?
Yes, there were such reactions, but nobody has a problem if four men in a film do evil things. So my contention is that don't look at it as man and woman. It is people. I'm not even saying there are good people versus bad people. There is people. The same person will do something extremely good today, given circumstances, tomorrow he'll do something really evil. Same person.
Right.
So we should not look at that as a man-woman issue. It's just about people and what they do and faced with circumstances. That's the way to look at it, I think.
Right. And could you talk a bit about the challenge of shooting the film? I think it's all shot in Majuli.
Yes.
And you beautifully interlinked the 4 stories, because I don't know if that is originally the case, but it's like very, very beautifully dovetailed into and I think what I really loved was the way the story kind of stories kind of start slowly, and then towards the end the cutting is very fast from one to another. So could you talk a bit about the challenge of shooting a small budget film in Assam?
Majuli, yeah, because Majuli was not advised by our production people because they thought it will really jack up the cost. But at that point, I was looking at doing a lot of wide shots or aerial shots of the landscape, to create some kind of dramatic feel to those things. And the only place where I could do that was Majuli, because everywhere else in Assam, the entire rural landscape has houses with tin roofs, so you cannot cover them all in VFX.
Right.
That's the only thing you can do. And of course, electricity poles. But Majuli, the thing is, especially at the edges of Majuli, these little villages are.
Right.
There's a constant threat of land erosion, which means that nothing is permanent there. Your house could get washed away tomorrow. So it's the kind of hamlets I found which I thought would
Be ideal.
I didn't have to spend too much money to dress them up. We still did have to cover the roof with hay and all. Yeah.
And I thought the sound was like very well done. It kind of added to the whole eerie atmosphere, and and the feel of the film, which was somewhere, I don't know like what genre of horror it would be, but it was kind of terrifying. So could you talk a bit about the use of sound in the film?
So our sound designer is Jatin Sharma, who's an extremely experienced sound designer, who had not only worked in almost every Assamese film, but also a lot of Hollywood films and Bollywood films. He was I think he was in Jungle Book. He was one of the main sound guys in India. So yeah, he's an old hand. So he was ideal for this project because he has a vast repository of the soundscape of Assam. What kind of birds sing in the morning,
Right.
what kind of birds sing in the afternoon. So he's layered the film like that. It's an awesome job he's done. Music, of course, Manath Hazarika, who's also my cousin. So that was good. He came cheap, and he studied music in I think Berkeley Music School in the US, and then he came and he's got a jazz band in Shillong called Instinct, and he's a very popular musician in Shillong. And but he's also a student of music. He studied it formally. So I thought, why not ask him to do something. And what he did was again through Jatin Sharma we got in touch with Dr. Viren Datta. Who is Padma Shri, because what he did is he did a very epic work by compiling all the the music of the various communities of Assam, missing the Rabhas, the Motoks, the Karbis. So he went around with Raman Chaudhary, his associate, and they went around all of Assam recording. So what you hear in the film is actual raw sound, whatever the location. And he gave us rights to use it.
Wow.
So we sort of used that, and one of the songs, in the jungle scenes, that's a Karbi morning song. There's a song they sing when somebody passes on.
Right.
Then there's another different kind of bihu, a missing bihu, which we used.
So this is like a mix of sounds from across all
not
of Assam.
Not just Assamese, but when I say mainstream Assamese, a Vaishnavite Assamese guy, person. This is from,
So somebody who's from Assam would have a much better appreciation of where the sound is.
Probably, I hope so.
That's amazing. And I think the performances were very powerful also. I mean, the women kind of really, looked evil and they acted really evil. So could you just talk about, obviously we all know about Seema Biswas, but could you talk about the other actresses, especially Teji Maula's stepmom?
Seema Baidu was very, very, very crucial to this project because not only did she agree to, it's the first time she said yes to an Assamese film.
And she's an Assamese.
She is from Assam.
Right.
So, and not only that, she said, this is a great script, but you have to train the actors, otherwise they'll mess it up. So I said, where to get budget to train actors and all that. She said, I'll do it for you. And she came.
Because people could have actually overacted and,
because this is not the school of acting that Assamese actors have grown up on. They are much more theatrical because Assam, there's a very strong tradition of theatre.
Right.
So to break that, she got her associate from NSD, Daulat Baid. We were in a small place, in a beautiful place in Guwahati. We played for about 8 days. We put the actors together with her for them to unlearn one style of acting and quickly pick up nuances of the other style of acting, which is more realist. And one of the best things she told them, I think, was that you should express with your eyes.
Which I think clearly, I think Teji Molla's step home, like
so there are many dialogues we removed because we found that this is enough. So we don't need to speak all the time.
Right.
So that was great. She was great.
That's awesome. And now you're looking at getting the film released in Assam. What's happening there?
Yeah, I guess it'll happen. We are not yet censored. We'll apply soon. And after that, let's see what happens. It'll happen. We are hoping it'll happen by April 2016. Bihu time.
Right.
Bihu time is a good time for the film to come home.
Right. So that would be awesome. I think it would be amazing to, look at the reactions of people there. I think, and it's an amazing film. Frankly, I love folk tales, and it's so awesome to see some of these country which is so rich in folktales sadly doesn't really have too many films made on folks. So one of the questions I think before we stop is are there other films that have been made on some of these folktales earlier?
Yes, there is one film made in 1967 called Teji Molla.
Oh, 67.
I've just heard of it. I don't know where the print is. I wish somebody finds it.
But this in Assamese?
Yeah, it's an Assamese film by a director called Anwar Ahmed. It's listed on IMDb, but nobody knows where the print is. So Teji Molla I know definitely, and also a lot of direct to DVD VCD films.
Okay.
And Champavati's been done. There's another story called Tula. So this is what I'm saying. This is all if you look at them, some of them are available on YouTube. You will see that the aesthetic is very different.
Right.
Because you present them as theatre.
Right.
There's high drama.
Right.
So yeah, you should check out Champavati especially. The one that
it's already on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. Thanks so much, Bhaskar. Lovely meeting you. Lovely watching the film, and we hope the film gets a release in Assam and does really well, and hopefully across the country as well.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's the big hope.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Lovely talking to you.